Chen Chi-li's rise from gang leader to infamous figure weaves together crime, politics, and patriotism. From the Bamboo Union's origins in Taipei to Chen's involvement in the assassination of journalist Henry Liu, this is the story of a man celebrated by some as a hero and condemned by others as a criminal. Chen Chi-li, the late leader of Taiwan's notorious Bamboo Union gang, lived a life that epitomizes the complex and often entangled relationship between organized crime and political power in Taiwan under the Kuomintang regime. His journey from a criminal mastermind to a controversial figure intertwined with government interests offers a deep insight into how these worlds collided and, at times, cooperated for mutual benefit. The turning point in Chen's criminal career occurred in 1984 when he and two other gang members carried out the assassination of Henry Liu, a Chinese-American journalist and writer. Liu, also known by his pen name Jiang Nan, had become a target due to his critical writings about Taiwan's ruling authorities. It was later revealed that the killing had been ordered by a high-ranking official in Taiwan's Military Intelligence Bureau, showcasing the alarming extent to which criminal syndicates were used as instruments for political purposes. The assassination marked a scandalous chapter in Taiwan's history, exposing the lengths to which the regime would go to silence dissent and manipulate underworld networks. Before Chen Chi-li's passing, Wang Jite of the Liberty Times, the sister newspaper of the Taipei Times, conducted interviews with some of his old associates within the Bamboo Union gang. These conversations offered a glimpse into Chen's final days and the sentiments of those who remained loyal to him. His close friends and fellow gangsters shared that Chen had desperately wished to return to Taiwan to receive cancer treatment and spend his remaining days in his homeland, but circumstances kept him abroad. Chen's associates expressed deep frustration over what they viewed as a betrayal by the very government he had once supported. They recounted how Chen, despite being a man with a deep sense of patriotism, was treated as a criminal rather than a hero. Wu Dun, a former Bamboo Union member who had been arrested alongside Chen for their role in the assassination of Henry Liu, voiced his discontent during a press conference. The government treated Chen very unfairly, Wu said, adding that it was disheartening to see a man who sacrificed so much for his country forced into exile. In the wake of Chen's death, his body was finally brought back to Taiwan, and this sparked a wave of sympathetic portrayals in the media. Fellow gangsters, certain celebrities, and some sections of the press began to recast Chen's image, depicting him not as a mere criminal but as a patriot and an idealistic figure who took risks for what he believed was the right cause. Chang and-Liu, another former leader of the Bamboo Union, echoed this sentiment, emphasizing that Chen was no ordinary gangster. He was an idealist who made money by doing what he thought was right, Chang explained, challenging the notion that his life was solely defined by crime. Quan Chengxiang, the president of Taiwan Media Watch, acknowledged that Chen Chi-li's life was indeed legendary, marked by notoriety and infamy. However, he was quick to caution that portraying such a figure as a hero in the media was problematic and did a disservice to the public understanding of Chen's true legacy. Chen Chi-li emerged as a significant player in Taiwan's criminal underworld during the 1960s, when he and a small group of associates took the Bamboo Union, a relatively minor gang at the time, and transformed it into one of the largest and most formidable criminal organizations in the nation. The gang's roots can be traced back to the Yonghe district of Taipei County, where it was initially formed by the children of mainland Chinese families who had come to Taiwan after the Chinese Civil War. Many of these youth, feeling marginalized and threatened by the dominance of Hoklo gangs, banded together as a means of self-defense. The Bamboo Union's militaristic discipline and readiness to use violence set it apart from its rivals. The gang structure was influenced by the backgrounds of its members, many of whom came from military families. This gave the organization a level of coordination and a willingness to resort to force that surpassed what other local gangs were capable of. As a result, the Bamboo Union quickly established itself as a formidable power in the criminal landscape of Taipei. During the late 1970s, as Taiwan's pro-democracy movement began to gather momentum, the Kuomintang regime started to recognize the negative consequences of its authoritarian tactics, which had sparked public outrage during events such as the Chen Chi-li incident in 1977 and the Kaohsiung incident in 1979. In response to the growing unrest, the KMT sought to soften its image while still maintaining control. It made a covert arrangement with the Bamboo Union, offering the gang a measure of protection and tolerance in exchange for using its influence to counter the activities of pro-democracy activists. After the Kaohsiung incident, which had heightened tensions between the government and the movement for democratic reforms, KMT officials initiated meetings with Chen Chi-li, who had by then ascended to the leadership of the Bamboo Union. They sought his cooperation, inviting him to use his gang's resources and networks to serve the country by confronting the pro-democracy movement and reinforcing the government's authority. This collaboration between the state and organized crime took a particularly dark turn in October 1984. Chen Chi-li, along with a group of fellow gang members, traveled to San Francisco with a mission that would further entangle the Bamboo Union in political intrigue. Their target was Henry Liu, a Chinese-American writer who was working on a critical biography of then-President Chiang Kai-shek. Before Liu could complete the book, Chen and his associates carried out his assassination, gunning him down outside his home. The murder was later linked to high-ranking officials in Taiwan's intelligence community, revealing the extent to which the regime was willing to utilize criminal elements to eliminate perceived threats to its power. Chen Chi-li's downfall began with his arrest in Taiwan just a month after the assassination, during a sweeping crackdown on organized crime. His capture marked the beginning of a legal saga that would shed light on the deep connections between criminal networks and high-ranking officials in Taiwan's military intelligence. During his trial, Chen openly testified that the murder had not been a random act of violence but was carried out under direct orders from Admiral Wang Xiling, the head of the Military Intelligence Bureau. Wang had suspected the slain writer, Henry Liu, of engaging in espionage activities for multiple countries, including Taiwan, China, and the United States. In the courtroom, Wang defended his decision, claiming that he had authorized the assassination out of a sense of patriotic duty, believing it to be in the national interest. Despite these justifications, both Chen and Wang were found guilty of murder, leading to significant prison sentences for the crime. Chen Chi-li ultimately served 6 years behind bars before being released in 1991, but his legal troubles were far from over. By 1996, he learned that he was once again a target for law enforcement, prompting him to flee to Cambodia to evade arrest. In Cambodia, he managed to stay under the radar for a number of years, finding refuge in the Southeast Asian country and reportedly continuing to engage in illicit activities. A senior prosecutor from Taipei, who wished to remain unnamed, later revealed that upon his release from prison, Chen had resumed his involvement with the Bamboo Union, returning to the criminal lifestyle he had known for decades. What Chen failed to grasp, however, was that the political landscape in Taiwan had shifted. With the rise of the Democratic Progressive Party and a more democratic system, tolerance for the kinds of activities that once went unchecked under the KMT was fading. His previous connections and past actions no longer provided the protection they once did, leaving him vulnerable in this new era. The controversy surrounding Chen did not cease even after his self-imposed exile in Cambodia. In the year 2000, he granted an interview to Taiwanese media from his opulent residence in Phnom Penh, during which he boldly displayed firearms in front of the camera. This public show of force, intended perhaps to assert his continued influence, instead drew unwanted attention. Shortly after the interview aired, Cambodian authorities arrested him in July, charging him with illegal possession of weapons and ties to organized crime. His arrest sent shockwaves through both Taiwan and Cambodia, as it revealed the extent of his criminal operations even while in exile. Chen was incarcerated for 13 months in Cambodia before being released in August 2001. His life, marked by a cycle of crime, evasion, and imprisonment, remained a subject of controversy, symbolizing the entangled histories of crime, politics, and law enforcement in Taiwan and beyond.